Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. We're back. We had to interrupt our programming because sometimes the sound just isn't quite right. Thank you, Trish, for making me aware of that. Today is Motivational Monday, and our thought is when you choose healing over toxicity, it can get pretty lonely. But you have to keep choosing what is best for you. And do remember, you chose this path. Today is Motivational Monday, and I'd like to start our conversation off with me. Good morning, Marvin. Good morning, good morning. So glad you're here. We were here earlier, but we had to cut out to get our sound together. If you guys haven't already, could you do us a favor and go like our pages to show your support? You give us a lot of hearts here on one platform, but we want you, if you like our program, to get connected. So let Monday be the day where we're going to, thank you so much, Marvin. We are going to let it be known that we're truly supporting. Go like our Facebook pages by the same name, Vibe Talk, and our Facebook page. And we're there. So if you could just click those buttons, that's all you have to do. And we thank you for our being your choice for today. We're going to talk about toxic relationships, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. And it was a conversation that I was in yesterday, and the person just happens to be related to me. And they began the conversation. First of all, they were upset about something that was going on, but they needed to lash out, which is not okay for me, because what we teach you in here is to place your anger, that's identifying it first, or to place your feelings about something in the right places. So basically, I called to find out how the person was doing, because you do have to check on your family from time to time when it's safe for you to do so. And the person began to tell me what was going on that had nothing to do with me, but they always get into these conversations with me about other family members. And my choice is not to begin with being with toxic people. How many of you have had to make that decision that you weren't going to engage in toxicity? We're going to talk about that, by the way. We're going to define it. How many of you have made that a conscious decision that you say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore because I want to heal from all of that?
I have.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that honesty. It is so important that we, as a people, Marvin said, what we want is to take a look and self-check ourselves. And we want honest answers. Please. I have had to make conscious decision whether I'm part of the toxicity or not. Because it's not good for your mental, emotional, spiritual, social. It's not good for any relationship. And if you are part of the process then you need to minus the equation. That's a math term. If you are part of the situation, you need to be able to minus it, even if it's on pause, to check it, to check if it's going to get better, minus yourself, because we can't always look at things and say, that's them, because we may be part of the equation that is adding to the toxicity. Does everybody get me there?
I do.
Moving, we want everybody to tell us what they're thankful for. What are you thankful for? You can write it. What are you thankful for, Trish?
I am thankful for a beautiful day. That's what I'm thankful for.
Beautiful day. And I am thankful for being able to have open conversations with anybody and everybody. And I'll tell you why I'm feeling like that. What are you thankful for, Marvin? Who was part of our live audience. We love it when live audience come on. We appreciate you. We are on Facebook right now. Please go to our page to like it if you haven't already, on Instagram and Facebook. Not sure yet, just woke up. We ask that question every day because every day there's a reason to be thankful. Let's think about that a little bit more than we already are. That's part of our show. If you've been with us, you know that's the first thing that we ask. What are you thankful for? Toxicity is something that you're going to choose or you're not going to choose. And if you've been listening to the program, we have subjects about toxic relationship, what is not healthy and what is healthy. In my conversation with my relative, they asked a question, but they were not ready to accept my answer. Now I can finally answer and know why I've chosen to do or be what I have chosen. Do you hear those powerful words? You can do or become what you have chosen. Why is that? Because you human, are powerful. Not to control others, but to accept, embrace, understand, and show compassion. Accept, embrace, and understand compassion within yourself. Nobody is responsible for choosing what you have chosen. Don't just stand there being powerless. Part of my healing, can everybody hear me okay? Part of my healing has been to choose what is best, what is improvement, what is going to make me better than I am this day. And I've done that thanks to Vibe Talk. See, Vibe Talk is just not about me. Vibe Talk is set up to help everyone, and we realize that we've helped a lot of people. Through the process of helping people as they listen to us, as they comment, we help ourselves. How many of you have been helped by Vibe Talk as you listen? And we want to hear for you from those of you who really do listen and are not in our virtual audience. How many of you have been helped by Vibe Talk to improve yourself?
I have.
Anybody? Okay, Trish, I can't hear you a lot. Can you speak up?
I said I have.
Okay. And we want you to be able to help yourself, because as you help yourself, you're going to want to help others. So I've chosen that. I was attacked verbally while being angry. I never allowed my anger to show. That's one way I know I've improved. I am no longer using anger as a toxic measure for anyone, because toxicity can be used as a measure, but we're going to properly understand before we leave today what that's all about. Becoming intelligent as to our emotion and what we give into or what we are allowing others to impose upon us. While in that conversation, the person did not allow me to feel the way that I felt. And that was my choice of why I have remained to keep on my path and not choose toxicity. When people aren't ready to be truthful, when they're not ready to embrace themselves, they won't make the changes. And as far as relationship goes, if you're not willing to make changes, why am I going to stick around? Why am I going to hope for something that I know that person is not ready to give? So I asked that person as they were angry. I told them, and yes, I did, that they were angry. The videos are always with anger, trying to manipulate or trying to make people feel and think the way that they believe. That is one definition of a toxic person. It's everything they say, they want you to believe and perceive what they're seeing. Now, as you look at the backboard of our discussion today, what are you seeing? I see a cactus plant. What do you see, Trish? And Marvin, what do you see? And anybody else, you can go to our YouTube page to see what I'm talking about. What do you see, Trish and Marvin, on the backboard here?
I can't really see it, but I think I see um something on top of sand. I think that's sand right there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And Marvin, Raven just joined us. Good morning, Raven. Where are you listening in from, please, and thank you. Everybody has a perception of what is toxic, but today we're going to definitely define it. Stay with us, and we shall see if you're even in any kind of toxic relationship with another person or yourself. I made the right choice for me, and I had to do that whether I am part of the equation or not. Because I have done this, the toxic people want to attack me. Marvin says it looks like a woman kneeling over, crying into a cactus. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And you are right. It is sand. See, all of you are right because you have your own perception of the way you see things. What are you seeing in your relationships? How do you contribute? How do you make it? We are top 10 for one of our platforms. Thank you for that. Because no one can see toxicity more than you can see it. In that conversation, because I took the path of healing, they got very angry with me. I'm in the business of helping people as I help myself. And I give them some time to be able to think about it without having any more access to me. How many of you get that? And if you don't, let me know. When you see that something is toxic, you can take a break and not let people have access. How many of you have heard the word access denied? Anybody?
I have.
Yeah. What do you think that means? To not let a person have access to you. How do you see that? To our audience members and those who are listening, you can comment anywhere on our Facebook, Instagram. The questions, you can talk about what you've learned through the week. And that's okay if you comment on our YouTube channel. How do you see that, Trish?
I see that as not allowing them to invade my space.
Yeah, yeah. In the conversation, I kept saying, I'm choosing safe space. The toxic person became very enraged, not respecting the fact that I am choosing a different path. They started to attack everything about me. But we have to think, are those the relationships that we want in our lives? Or do they give us some kind of thrill? People are thrill seekers. Have you noticed that? Are you a thrill seeker in that you think those relationships are perfectly normal? And at the end of the day, your energy is drained? You can recover. If you are in a toxic relationship, you understand that it does not make you feel good. Or should I say, how many people feel good from ever being in a toxic relationship? I use this analogy. And if you can, I'd like for you to put a skeleton up. We're doing exercise in here. If you can find a skeleton, please put it up. I want to show you something. Skeleton. There you go. Marvin's got one. Thank you so much. Skeleton. Trish, do you have one? You can put yours up. There you go. Thank you. When you see a skeleton, what is your first reaction to a skeleton? What is your first reaction to it? What does it mean to you? Death? Thank you. Trish? Thank you, Marvin, for that. Trish, what about yourself?
Most of the time, to me, it means laughter.
Okay. See, we all have different perception. Now, as we have seen skeletons, we see them on bottles. What kind of bottle have you saw skeletons on? We're going to talk about this to see how aware you are of things. Where have you seen skeletons on bottles? Hot sauce? Yeah. What might that mean, Marvin? I like that one. I never thought of that one. Hot sauce?
Bleach.
Danger. Go ahead, Trish. What were you saying?
I was saying bleach.
Yeah, bleach. What does that mean when you see it on bleach?
That chemical is toxic.
And what does that mean for those of us who may not know what toxic is?
It's harmful. It's dangerous.
Yeah, danger. Danger. Now, if you set a bottle that had that continents in it, how likely are you to intake it? Good morning, Guy, and welcome to Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, where we're talking about toxic relationships. Good morning, and where are you listening in from, please, and thank you. How quick are you to take or drink or eat something that had that on its contents? Would you take it in? How many of you would take it in? You like hot sauce? Says I like hot sauce, but I won't drink the bleach. I love that. Why would you not? Because I love hot sauce too. And I will challenge the toxicity or the danger of the hot sauce, but I won't drink the bleach. Why is that? Why do we reason that? Let's get into this conversation. I won't drink the bleach. Yeah. Wisconsin, because it can kill you. See, every time we look at those things, we say, what? Oh, there's some danger to this. But some of us chose or will choose to ignore the sign. That sign posted that's warning it's dangerous. How do we know that it's dangerous? Because we don't have to drink the bleach to find out that it's dangerous. Guy, thank you for joining our virtual group. Thank you so much. Toxic relationships are filled with issue but need time. If you're in a toxic relationship, sometimes in a relationship you are not a good match. Have you ever been in a relationship like that? By the way, we are on other platforms. We are on other platforms, all social medias. Check us out. We're there. And if you like our podcast, you love us there. Sometimes in a relationship, you've got to see the signs. Sometimes in a toxic relationship, we need to separate. In that relationship. Because toxic relationships have serious effects on your self-worth and your dignity. Immediately, let me tell you what happened to me. I started to feel traumatized. The person that I was talking to said to me, remember how bad I used to treat you and we would get into bad conversations? And they just kept talking and talking and talking, and all of a sudden, trauma started to trigger me. Because you see, they didn't recognize that my love for them could forgive yet. Sometimes we don't recognize that the very person who triggers us may be that toxic to us. They can leave permanent emotional damage. I want you to start thinking about these kind of relationships. And if not yourself, the other person. Are you toxic to them? Wisconsin, thank you for joining us. Sometimes in a relationship, we see signs. The reason why we did the skeleton sign together was because I wanted you to see the signs and recognize. Marvin says, yeah, my ex died on me and now I have PTSD. Thank you for sharing that, Marvin. That was very brave of you. Are you getting any kind of professional help with that, Marvin? Because I'm just a life coach. I am not a doctor of any kind. I want you to know that it's okay to talk about that. And if you need the extra help, we also do one-on-ones, and I can always refer you to someone that is reputable in your state or county. Okay, you said, yeah, the day I met you, I went to a psychiatrist and got antidepressants. So did I make you get that? Because I can tend to drive somebody crazy. Or I can help a person to get the help they need. Which one was it? Be honest. Because if I made you yes, I need to work on that. You said there aren't any therapists available in person near me that takes my insurance yet. I'm on a waiting list. So did I help or not help? Oh, you said you were waiting for them? Great. Continue to do that. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I am the supplement help. I will be able to let you speak and give you references. I can't give you any medical advice because I'm not in the medical field. I'm just a life coach. You said it just happened, it had nothing to do with me. It just happened to have met you the same day. Wow. You see how life works? So we want to talk about some signs. We did the skeleton sign. Everybody knows what that is. We know that it's dangerous, toxic. We see that. We say, oh no, we're not going to be trying to do that. And yes, I love the way that Marvin talked about the hot sauce. Because Marvin, I like the challenge of the hot sauce and seeing how hot it really is. And I love the way that you associated that and how you associated the bleach and not being able to drink it. We must know the difference. Thank you for that. Have you saw the sign? There are signs among us, stop signs, go signs, uh, shoe signs, clothes signs, commercial signs. We all know them, right? If I put up a yellow M that looks like an arch, what would you associate that with? Anybody? Anybody? A yellow M that looks like an arch. What is that associated with? Marvin says maybe some dangerous good like skydiving, hot sauce, and roller coasters. McDonald's, yes. Are you still there with us, Trish, my co-host?
Yes, I'm still here.
Yeah, what's another sign that we all recognize? How about the Amazon sign? What sign is that? Anybody know?
A smiley face.
Smiley face. You see how we recognize things? We need to recognize the sign of toxicity. If you are in a relationship with yourself or another, do you feel disrespected? How many of you have felt disrespected?
I have.
I have. That triggered me last night, by the way. It triggered me so much, and I was very angry. My response was not the same. I chose my words carefully, but I did know that that wasn't the person that I thought I knew. And when they had the nerve to tell me how bad they used to treat me, I now could intelligently say that was disrespectful, how they treated me, and then reminded me about that. How about this one? Your needs are not met. Sometimes you demise yourself. You miss yourself. You dismiss yourself. So are you toxic in that way? Because if you don't meet your needs, how are you going to meet the needs of another person? How many of you are feeling like your needs are not met?
I'm working on it.
Yeah. How about this one? Hard time communicating. He then began to misdiagnose what love looked like. People communicate. When you love someone, you start to communicate. And I noticed that the ones who are related to me have a very hard time communicating. I used to think communicating was letting my anger out. But communicating is speaking and allowing the other to speak and being clearly heard. That's why sometimes in here I will say, get a little closer. What does that mean? Are you hearing me? Do you hear me? You start to tell someone the truth, and you know what they start to do? Good morning, Yuri. Thank you so much, Yuri. Yuri says, I hear you. Yuri, where are you listening in from? And I'm so glad that you are here, even if you just stopped by. This is Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast, and we're talking about toxic relationships and how not to have them. I am from Southern California, and Trish, where are you from? As my co-host. Thank you so
I'm
much.
from South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yuri, thank you. We again encourage you guys, please, today we're going to start doing this on Mondays. Please go to our YouTube channel. Please go to our YouTube channel and click like and subscribe. We have Instagram. I love all those hearts. Thank you, Marvin. Yuri is from South Carolina. That's where you're from, right? Trish, South Carolina?
Yes, I am.
Okay. How about this? You give in your relationship more than you get. Anybody? Yuri, thank you so much. Anybody give what more than they get in the relationship?
I can relate to that.
Yeah. And how do you do that? Historically, yes, Marvin says. You've had that happen to you, Marvin, in the past. What was that like for you all to give more than you got in the relationship?
It was draining for me.
Mm-hmm. Yuri says that he's the selfish one. Yuri, thank you for that. That was so honest. You know, Yuri, when you get to think about being the selfish one, you also should say that you're honest. Because a lot of people can't admit that. I am the one that is a nurturer. I used to historically, and I like that word, verbiage, Marvin. Historically, I used to feel like if nobody could love me, I could make them love me. I used to think that way. I used to believe that. Marvin says I can't help it in deeply. Pisces, it makes me happy, but eventually makes me feel hurt. Thank you for that. I love the way our conversation goes. I love that. So I learned to love myself enough where I started to value myself. What's your experience been like, Trish?
It's been where I am the person that gives the other person most of the plate and I don't save some for me. That's how I was. And I'm not in a relationship right now, but I'm working on saving some for myself and treating myself well because I'm also a nurturer. I care a lot and I have to learn to balance that, and I'm learning to balance that.
Right now, let's say everybody's in a relationship. And you are because your relationship begins with yourself. How do you treat yourself? Our audience member says, I'm working on setting a bar of self-respect and boundaries. Yeah. See, that had to happen for me too, Marvin. I had to build a boundary of self-respect. Just because a person wants to mistreat me doesn't mean that I'm who that person. Because all through that conversation, I started to disengage because the person, first of all, did not respect how I felt, regardless if they're related to you or not. And I've grown. I have now learned how to respect myself. That's of great value to me. And so what would have worked for me before, this time I could analyze it. And no one has a right to treat you undervalued. No one has a right. Start that today. No one has a right to do that to you. Here's another thing. How many of you have found yourself wondering if you like the person or like the attention? How many of you have been there? I've been there.
I have.
I didn't really like the person, but I love the attention. With men, I didn't really like that person, but I like the attention. And I can be honest as well. How many of you resent yourself or your partner? You resent yourself. Remember how I used to talk about me and how I hated me? I couldn't find it in me to love me, but I could give that love that I couldn't give to myself to another person. That made sense to me. But I want you to ask yourself, does that make sense to you? Marvin says he loves big and likes the attention, and I like how they make me feel about myself. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. You love the attention of how they make you feel. But how do you, minusing that person, how do you feel about yourself? Passive aggressive. You will say yeah, but no. You will speak big, but feel small. You're very codependent. Marvin, I love this conversation. It's so honest. Codependent. A lot of people aren't aware of that, Marvin, of who they really are. I had a friend that every time something would come out of their mouth, they would always say everything about their partner. They had to, it was sickening to be able to listen to that. And they did not know that they were codependent. And I said, hey, as an invitation, why don't you come to our Vibe Talk podcast group? We have one. They couldn't come because they didn't want to hear. They didn't want to come to grips to face the lion and who they really were. Now, codependency is honest, but when it starts to get unhealthy for you, that's when you need to make a decision. Make a decision. See how we learn about ourselves, I should say, feeling attacked and unsupported. Trish and I, we talk about when we advertise for our podcast, lack of support. People see you and they want to be you, but they don't want to support you. I've had that happen. Unsupported. I got tired of feeling unsupported. Never need a thank you, but I got tired of feeling, what is wrong that I'm not getting support? So what was the remedy for that? To click like on everything that I posted. Because when I look back, I felt good about it. And that's all that really matters, how you feel about it. How about your sleeping? How do you sleep? Because that has a lot to do with your pattern of toxicity or not. Has your pattern changed? My pattern has changed. It used to be with anxiety and worry that I would wake up and be sick for the rest of the day because I worried all night. Now I go to sleep, and prayer is a big part of my day. I pray because I know if no one can help me, there is a God alive that does. How many of you are feeling depressed or anxious and it's overwhelming? Overwhelmingly. We all go through bouts of depression, feeling anxious, anxiety, not knowing what tomorrow is going to be. I ask that you think about that. Our audience member just let us know this morning how he's awaiting his therapy appointment, recognizing the sign. How about looking at yourself? What do you bring out in another person? You know how people always say it's your fault? Your fault, you did this, you did that, and it's always blame, passing the blame. My nephew, in speaking with him, did that. In my life, as I am an adult, I place the blame where it belongs. No one is the cause of you doing anything. You are the cause of whatever you choose to do. That is a toxic person who passes the blame, because if they don't, she doesn't, he doesn't, they, them, she, whoever, if they keep doing that, eventually, you know what's going to happen? They're going to do it to someone else. That is toxicity. And especially, do you not place the blame on someone that is not there to defend themselves. How many times have you taken a pause from a relationship just to see how a person's doing? You can't make anybody do anything or not do anything. You must learn that. You're in control of your emotions. When you say, oh, I'm out of control, I ask you to get control so that you're not a toxic person. If you're bringing out bad qualities in another person, recognize that, take a pause, and work on that. How many times have you felt that you had to walk on eggshells around anyone? Anybody felt like that? Thank you, Marvin.
I have.
And what was that like for you?
It felt like I couldn't be myself because one little thing I did could trigger them the wrong way when it wasn't intentional.
Yeah. Yeah. Not intentional. And Marvin says, my whole life. Marvin, thank you so much. He's being so honest. You are in control of all of your emotions. I want you guys to be able to say that. You say you're anxiety inducing. Yeah, they create that for you. And after you experience those emotions, how does it make you feel? Yeah, anxiety, depressed, the list goes on and on. So how do we change that toxicity? He says worn out. Yeah. That you just can't be yourself. Like if I am having fun and I'm being myself, I said to my nephew, I said, I'm actually the happiest now that I have made healthy choices. Isn't it nice to know that you can make a healthy choice? You're not beyond help. You're not so bad that you can actually feel better about yourself. I love that feeling, and no one can take that from me. And so as I am my happiest, that made the person enraged. And people will do that to you because they no longer have control over how or what you feel. Your feelings are not based upon their actions, or your actions is not based upon their feelings. You start to be free of it. I'm at my best right here today of April 8th, 2024. Do I stop? No, because if I see the signs again, I am to be aware. Have a great day. Thank you, Marvin, for joining us. And don't forget to click like on our Facebook and our YouTube page. Thank you so much for your hard work in here today. Have a great day. How about when you feel manipulated? The person actually told me, you make it present. You make it known to be in my life. No, thank you. Not I appreciate you being in my life. You make it present. So I revealed why. Because your videos are screaming for help. You ever saw a person post something on Facebook and it's the way they post? They're screaming for help and they don't even know they need any help. So there was more toxic spewing out of that person. And I still maintained my composure. That's not an easy thing for me. How about this one? You're not feeling your best emotionally or mentally around them. When are you going to take your leave or take your pause when you're not feeling your best? It's like telling everybody, hey, we're going to Disneyland today. Well, everybody loves Disneyland. And if you've ever been, you'll really love it. And somebody comes along and says, well, Disneyland's not going to be fun. It's going to be boring. It's going to be long lines. You might not see Mickey Mouse. They start to rain on your parade. What's the clue? What is it that you could do to change that? If it rains, you take an umbrella. If it rains, you wait for the rainbow. Sometimes I've even talked with people that are in relationships, but they are the loneliest. They're together because they've been together. They don't know where else to be. Neither one wants to work on that. How many times have you felt responsible for another person's happiness? I used to. I was always the nurturer. And people don't like that about me, that I have put relationships on pause. I no longer want to be the nurturer. I want to be the person that knows, hey, I got butterfly wings over here. It is not avoiding that. It is simply not getting back into the path of toxicity, because now I understand that I have butterfly wings. So I don't have to feel responsible for anybody being happy. Why? Because they have their own emotions. It's so important that we choose ourselves, and that's not in a selfish way. We choose ourselves even when nobody else chooses us. We can be in a toxic relationship with ourselves. If you are being abused emotionally, mentally, sexually, or physically, I ask that you make identity with that. Why? Because the more you're able to talk about these toxic things that you've experienced, the more you'll need to feel your best. How do you feel in your relationship with yourself first and then others? And if you're not feeling good, I want you to think about this. Signs. Remember how we did the signs test? What is it? We ask that you watch out for signs. And if it's not something that makes you feel good, you may be in danger. I want you to think about the toxicity and what it weighs upon you. What is abuse? What is toxicity? What's the difference? We talk about abuse in here a lot. Why? Because we want you to know that these conversations are ones to build bridges. These conversations are ones that will help you be a more healthier you. And the answer to the question that was posed to me last night is because people have a way of creating issues and escalating problems. I don't like it when people say y'all or you guys, because I don't have anything to do with associating with people who choose not to fix it. And if I am the equator or the equation, if I remove myself as the common denominator, then I'm not part of the problem. And I have been waiting and waiting and waiting. And the situation of, what did I say? Creating issues and escalating problems is still going on. And I cannot stand another thing, people placing the blame. put the blame where it belongs. We had a lot of honesty here, didn't you think, Trish?
Yes, I do think so.
Yeah. Be honest with yourself. If you're a toxic person, think about what you've brought to the table or what you didn't. Think about how you can make it better. It is not running away when you say, I'm going to be intolerant of something. It is simply saying, this is the boundary. You know, a lot of times we may block somebody on Facebook. I don't know if you guys do that, but I do. Because you know what that's saying? Access denied. And when a person realizes that they have no access to you anywhere at any time, especially to say that you make yourself present in someone's life and you're not there anymore, it makes them think, why did a person make that choice in life? I made the choice because I don't want to be emotionally drained and stressed out. I made that choice because I don't want to be disrespected, unappreciated. Why? Because I'm aware of the sign of toxicity. I want to be healthy. When we are impacted, we have poor etiquette within ourselves. What does that mean? Lack of communication, short tempers, negative plus negative equals negative. Low self-worth. How do we fix it though? What do we need to do? We need to be motivated to change. Not change the person, but change the person that we are within. Do we keep being acceptant of it? Or do we say, no, it's got to be something else? Creating awareness about our own self. We've had a very open and honest conversation here today. We are not going to bring up the past. That was another thing of why I chose living in the past. Nobody can let you be free from the past, but the butterfly wings that we work so hard to gain in here while we're living. The conversation turned so negative that the person said, don't come to my funeral. Why would a person say that? You can't fix a negative mind unless the negative mind wants to be fixed. Dwelling in the past, I can't take that anymore. Having compassion for anyone. We need to have a come to with the people in our life, developing compassion as we are human and they are human. Here's the key factor, taking responsibility. What part do you play in any type of toxicity? Because let's be honest, you just might be the one that causes the toxicity. We want to deny. Everybody wants to tell you what you do, what you've done, and how you've done what you've done. But nobody wants to listen to what to do. I find that disheartening. I love the honesty today about getting the help that you need. I love the thought about having a space to be able to create for yourself time. It's not saying goodbye, it's just saying, no, I'm not going to tolerate this, because you're in control of all your emotions. And when I said I needed the space, my family member could not accept that. How do you know when to leave the relationships of toxicity? Think about what you may be dealing with right now. Ask yourself common questions that we're asking in today's podcast. And I want you to think about, too, making a difference on how you feel versus how you would feel in the toxicity. Remember, there are always signs. We're going to come right back with Trisha's Treasures. We've had a very deep conversation on this Motivational Monday. We're going to be right back. Stay tuned. Facing the podcast, and we're going to turn it over to Trisha's Treasures. Trish?
Right now, in my notebook, at the top of my paper, I wrote, am I toxic? And that's a question that I asked myself today in this podcast. And then I thought of the general phrase that people use, which is, my toxic trait is. And they make it such a normal thing where when you bring up a subject about relationships and they automatically say, my toxic trait is. And to me, it sounds like a proud thing, but toxic traits are meant to be worked on. And for myself personally, I wrote the word toxic and I wrote things by the letters for a acronym sort of thing. So for T, I have talking to people that have a negative impact on me. And what I changed about that was, if I see the conversation is about to be negative, I see myself out. And that takes a lot of work to do, because when I'm with people that I love, I always want to hear them out and understand where they're coming from. But if it's just negative, 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 and it's not going to equal to a positive, it's really not. But to help my mentality out, I used the way of seeing myself out of that situation. You know the saying, it's an A and B conversation. Let me see myself out. That's what I'm going to do with negative conversations. And for O, I have opposing myself to positivity. That means when I am in a negative state, I choose to be negative and that's it. And I don't want to see the brighter side sometimes. That's the honest truth. I rather stay negative. And what I changed about that is, if I have a negative mindset for the day, I'm going to try to help myself and think positive. For X, I have explaining my feelings repeatedly, knowing that they understood me the first time, but they just refused to take action. When I know that, when I'm aware of that, I should just I'm aware of my feelings, and if I see that it's not being respected, I should respect myself and continue to respect myself away from that person. And for I have intruding my space with welcoming, unwelcoming behaviors. I have a habit of doing that because I have a high love for people, and when I feel that they need someone to talk to, they need someone to hear them out, and I know from the jump that this isn't going to turn out well, I'm not going to be in a good mood anymore when this person starts talking, I ignore that. And that goes into cutting off my emotions for other people. That's my letter C. I need to understand that when I'm toxic to myself, it can reflect on other people, and it does reflect on other people. When you have a toxic trait, or if you have one, or if you are aware that you have one, it's best to work on it, because when toxic things spill on the floor, it spreads. The fumes of it flies into the air, and you can smell it, and it affects you. It affects everyone. So, if you are in a toxic relationship, and if you are a person, don't let that be your personality. Don't let that be you. Try to air out the toxins and bring in the fresh air.
Because I don't want you just to make a resolution. I want you to think about commitment.
I was really about to lose it, then I got the vibe with it. I really took my time with it. I really love the ride with it. For you, really got the vibe with it. I took my time with it. I really love the ride with it, yeah. You can finally see a better you when you get the vibe with it, yeah. When you get the vibe with it, yeah. Whoa.